Hey guys, this is Isabella Illustrations here, and welcome to a new video. So today's video is going to be finally my book review on The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Now I've done a movie review, so now I'm going to be doing a book review. This review won't have too much, won't be talking really about the differences from the movie and the book. It'll just mainly be about the book in general. So without further ado, let's get to the review. Okay, so first I want to talk about the book in the most general terms, my opinions on it and whatnot. So basically, I thought it was a great book. I really enjoyed it. It was entertaining. I had fun. Definitely after seeing the movie, this definitely gave me so much more, and I enjoyed it so much more than if I had read it before the movie. So I think it was definitely a smart decision to wait. I really enjoyed seeing how Koryo becomes the man he does become, which is the evil villain we all know and love to hate. I don't know. It's a bit complicated. But yeah, I loved reading his thoughts throughout the book and the events that occur. It helped me understand him better in the film, because I do find that, yeah, in films you don't really get the inner dialogue that you get in the book, which it definitely makes you understand him better and understand what happens in the movie, what's going through his head during those moments, which I think is amazing. I think that's good. I think that you'll get a lot from the book too. So I think it's good to watch the movie and read the book. I think that they both have something to give you. Something else I wanted to talk about. I don't know about other people, but I love a good villain origin story. I find them so compelling and interesting, and that's why I picked this up, because I was like, ooh, this is an origin story for the main villain. So I was like, cool, I'll pick this up. And I want to read more about him. And I like villain origin stories because you can see that some of these guys, they could have gone down a good path. There was definitely certain moments where I was like, yeah, things could have turned out differently, but because of certain circumstances, it just didn't go that way, and he ended up becoming the dictator that we all know from the movies and the other books, which I haven't read the other books, but I've seen the movies. So yeah, it's kind of sad. It's kind of melancholy, because sometimes you're telling yourself that, oh my god, dude, just make the right decisions, and you can't change what happens in the future. But it's really fun, and I love getting invested in his character. It was really fun. It was a journey. It's definitely a sad one. But it was definitely entertaining, and I enjoyed it. What I'd like to talk about is Koryo as a person in the books, which isn't a very good person by any means. But yeah, let's just get started. So all the relationships that he has with people in the books, besides his family, everyone else, there is a genuine, sometimes real connection to these people, but at the same time, he's also using them to get things. And that is not okay. Manipulating people and using them for your own selfish gain is not okay. It's not a foundation for any healthy friendships, let alone relationships. And that goes for his relationship with Lucy Gray, his friendship with Clemencia, and whatever it is between him and Sejanus. I have no idea what's going on there. He says he's not his friend, but then sometimes he's happy to have him there. It's confusing. But ultimately, all of his relationships with people mostly have an ulterior motive, and it's just to get something. And apparently his father was the same way, as we learned from the Dean. Apparently his father, well, Koryo's father used him as well, and that is definitely something important to know. Next thing I'd like to talk about is nature and nurture, because it's definitely there's definitely both of those in there. The nature of manipulating people and using them from his father, but then nurture, basically all of these influences in his life have made him think a certain way and become who he ultimately becomes. And a big part of that is Dr. Gall and her influence. She is the main reason why he becomes the awful dictator and the most evil dude that he becomes. And he tries to avoid her influence, but she's just so persistent that it's impossible for him to avoid her views, and she's just spewing them all to him. And it's like, I just wish that he could have avoided her, because then maybe he would have been a better person. But ultimately, yeah, she's the reason why he becomes the man he becomes. And it was really hard to watch that, and it was horrifying, actually. But then there's also the influence from his grandmother, who raised him since he is an orphan from a young age, who imposes her views on him as well about how district people are animals. And that makes sense why he thinks of them in such a low manner. But then he's also angry at the districts because of the rebellion, and his father was killed by rebels. So it makes sense why he hates the districts and the people so much. I think that definitely fleshed that out more. Something else I noticed while I was reading the book was that the people who get in Koryo's way or threaten his life end up dead. He's okay with killing as long as it benefits him, and that is no good. That is awful. That is evil. But yeah, Mayfair ends up dead because if she goes and tattles, and then he'll end up at the noose. So it's like, he's like, nope, gotta kill her. Can't risk it. And then he kills her. And then the same happens to Lucy Gray. She ends up getting in his way. She could expose him and what he did, so he ends up killing her, so that nothing can stop his basically return to prestige, basically. And that is not okay. That is awful. There is no excuses for that. That is just totally cruel. Something major I noticed throughout the book is that most of Koryo's, like, manipulation and use of people to get things is mainly because he likes to control everything. He likes to be in control. He likes to control everything and everyone. So he doesn't end up feeling helpless like he did during the war when he was a child. Feeling helpless and powerless and scared was an awful experience for him. And I think that childhood trauma is definitely the reason why he becomes a man who likes to control every variable and everyone and everything. I think that's a reason why he becomes that kind of person at the beginning of the book, and then it just escalates throughout the book and then just gets worse, those tendencies, as it goes on. But ultimately it's just control so he can feel safe, and wants power so he can feel safe. And that also fuels his dreams of becoming president, because who's more in control of everything and who's safer than a president? And so that's why he ultimately wants to go for that goal. And it definitely makes sense. And I liked that part of the story. I think it definitely really fleshed him out. I think it was really profound. I think it really helped me understand why he became who he became, because it's not just because of the events in this story, it's also because of his childhood and the trauma he experienced as a boy that shaped him as well. Alright, so now I'd like to just talk about Koryo's relationship with Lucy Gray. Now, I think I ship a version of them that is not the book version, because the book version is toxic and unhealthy, and I can see why they can't be together in this universe, because it's very toxic. But yeah, I think I just like ship a version of them that's healthier and better, which is basically in fan fiction. So I get my quota of them for that from there. But in the book, I can see why they can't work out. One, they have opposing beliefs. He believes in controlling people and Basically, everyone needs to be controlled, otherwise there will be chaos. And she just believes in freedom, ultimately. And those two opposing views make them clash a lot in the book. And I can see why those opposing views make them incompatible. But then it's also the opposing wants that they have in life. He wants life with power and prestige, and she just wants a life of freedom, a simple life just filled with just happiness, like basic happiness. And that's not something he can offer her because they have such opposing wants. Like, the life he wants is so restrictive that she could never be happy in that environment. So the wants and the beliefs clash so much that it just would have never worked out regardless. And he does realize that at the end of the book. He does mention that. And I did tab that. So yeah. I've also noticed, he is a hugely selfish person in this book. There's no denying that. But he's also very selfish when he's in District 12. And he's like, I wish that I wasn't the one feeling so stuck, and that this was reversed, where I'm the one who's free and Lucy Gray is the one who's stuck. And it's like, if you love someone, you want their happiness above your own, and clearly he does not. So this is big red flag, very unhealthy, very not good. So that's a bit of a mess. I think he does genuinely like her. I definitely do. I think genuine feelings do develop. And I think that him using her for what she could give him, as well, though, as the genuine feelings, makes it very still toxic. Because even if there are genuine feelings, as long as he's manipulating her to use her, that is not healthy. That is not a good basis for any relationship. And it's just awful. He uses her for basically fame by association. He uses her to get a prize money to go to school, and that's not okay by any standards. But then the last thing I noticed was that in the end, I think power was always more important to him than Lucy Gray and her and his feelings for her. I think his want for power was always going to get in the way. Because when she becomes a threat to him gaining the prestige that he wants back, he's totally ready to kill her. And that is so dark and so wrong and so bad. I didn't notice how bad the relationship was till I read the book. And towards the end, it gets worse and worse. And I was just like, oh my god. But I still ship them a little bit. And I think it's a healthy version that I ship. I don't ship this controlling relationship that's based on manipulation. But anyway, that is it for this review. I hope it wasn't too long. But anyway, let me know what you guys thought about the book in the comment section if you've read it. Now my comment section is opened. I always assumed it was, but apparently it wasn't. So from now on, it will be open. So please send me anything you want, and be kind, please, if you can. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I will hopefully see you guys in another video very soon. I have a ton of ideas, so be looking forward to that. So, bye-bye.